Namaste, everyone. Just resting in the silence. Check in, what are you noticing? And check in, are you really allowing it? And check, are you waiting for something? Or are you just here? Just so I can see down. Yeah, that's good. I'll have to turn it. Yeah, that's great. That's good. Thank you. So what was happening for you all as you leaned in and came into I'm just here now? What was happening? Was there a shift? What was happening before the retreat started? What was happening? Anything in particular came up? What happens right here and now as you consciously lean in? Is there a shift? What are you noticing? An awakened life. What does this mean for you? An awakened life. What does it mean for you? And how does this express? If you're fidgety, check in what is underneath the fidgeting. Are you still in your physical body? And what's happening in the emotional body? What's happening in the ancestral body? what's happening in the soul body. Whatever you're noticing, check, are you allowing it or are you managing it? Are you really here? Allow your breath to be down lower in the belly without forcing the physical breath down. Just start breathing in and out through the lower belly. No effort and soft. The body knows this breath. Consciously resting in awareness and consciously allowing awareness to rest in the sacred heart. Throughout this retreat, I invite you to consciously rest in awareness and then consciously rest awareness in the sacred heart. Notice the difference when we rest awareness in the sacred heart. If the mind is busy, keep breathing in and out through hara. Simultaneously, your attention on the heart as you rest your awareness in your heart. Breathing in and out through hara, simultaneously resting your attention on your sacred heart as you allow your awareness to rest in the sacred heart. You start to ground your presence through the entire energy field. Naturally, dimensions open. Here we are as a divine network across this Mother Earth. How sweet is the play to come together to acknowledge presence, our grace, our gratitude, our love, to stand tall in awakened presence, our sacred life, to allow a vibration, sensation, feeling, knowing like never before, to allow an enrichment from softening like never before, to allow a settlement within the entire energy field like never before, to bring forth spaciousness within spaciousness consciously like never before, to let go of trying, to allow surrendering, to allow the sweet nectar of the Supreme Consciousness to dance within our entire energy field, to consciously shine the light, to allow our soul and beyond to orchestrate within the most softest unfolding, dissolving, bringing forth. To recognize all aspects of our conscious capacities within the human experience, within the angelic experience, within the Satchitananda experience, within the saint experience, with the Buddha nature experience, our true natures, to allow our true nature to fully blossom once again. In every breath, we have an opportunity of natural deepening, natural expansion without trying. The sweetness of resting our attention in the sacred heart, our awareness, the silence, the spaciousness, the Divine Mother, the Divine Father, great omniscience divinity. As we move through a gentle, soft, unfolding, dissolving, to allow the Shiva and Kali energy to be known in your energy fields with a fresh play. Not what the mind assumes Shiva and Kali could be, what you've read. Through direct experience, allow Shiva, Through direct experience, allow Kali to celebrate awakened life. What does that mean for you? Awakened life. Is there a place where you fall short in the awakened life? Fall short to your absolute knowing? To ask the inquiries gives an opportunity for the light to be shined on our foreshorts, not to be taken away or assume we have to do anything, rather than the simplicity of consciousness shining the light in that instant that it appears on your field of awareness. The invitation is not to put energetics of unfolding into the future, rather here now in the constant of the now. The invitation is when you share to lean in, to keep the container of the retreat by leaning in and checking you are sharing from presence, catching when it comes into the mind, and in that instant, lean in and share. Feel the roar of the great ocean that will bring us all deeper into the ocean. There's not an effort. Check the distractions and not follow. Allow them to be there. Welcome any distractions as an opportunity to remain here, to be able to look around the room and maintain without effort silence, to exercise consciously our capacity. What are you noticing? What is happening in your fields? The sweetness of Shiva energy, the dissolving energy that naturally comes forth. Surrender and surrender. Yannicka, it's okay to get comfortable, lovey. Just get yourself comfortable. The glory of the silence that's here, regardless. Can you allow that a little bit more? Lovely. Okay. Rochella, would you like to come on? I want to hear from you. I've seen your face many times lately. I'd like to know what's going on.
It's funny to hear. Yeah, I'm thinking a lot about you lately, so it can be the case.
What have you been meeting? What came when I asked you?
Now it feels like shame.
And that's okay to bring shame to the table here, to bring it here. And check, how are you when shame rises in your energy field? Let's open up. What is shame?
It's hiding the grief and the frustration for me.
Yeah.
That's what I've been meeting lately. Yeah, both.
In frustration, it's a lovely play to consciously open it up in the moment it rises in your energy field. And just really smell it and feel it and really be there with it.
I did.
Good.
At first, it acted out in the physical body, and I've been playing a lot with it to just completely, or as far as I can, surrender. Mostly laying on my back in Shavasana, and then surrender to it, and it can feel quite uncomfortable. And when I get through it, I can feel it's moving, and then I can bring it home with a lot of surrendering and softening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been practicing with a lot of softening as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. When you say that it's really uncomfortable, give me more there.
What I mean is, it's the uncomfortable feeling in my body. It's like, actually, it's just like a stimulation. What I'm feeling. Ik heb stagnation niet tussen je muziek kunnen vinden. Siri is opening up. I don't know why.
That's okay.
It's like this.
So it's a particular feeling in the body. Whereabouts in the body?
In my
hips, pelvis?
Yeah, the pelvis area.
Okay.
The pelvis
area.
Yeah.
So everybody just take the moment and feel the sacrum and the tailbone, the base of the spine. Just bringing your attention to the tailbone and the sacrum. Soften. Now allow whatever rises to come all the way home to the silence, to your awareness, to Sacred Heart. And see what rises. Don't go to the rising, rather bring the rising home. Simultaneously, You have your attention on the tailbone and the sacrum, softening. As you're resting in the tailbone and the sacrum, check your jaw and soften as well. What are you noticing, Rochella?
I do notice the jaw, which
Yeah,
controlling of the process.
yeah. The invitation, when we notice one area in particular that's really sort of activated and a lot of unwinding, is to go either above or below it and check in, because it'll have a holding pattern there. But because it's like presenting in one particular area, sometimes we forget to go above it or around the edges to loosen it all up, give it more space.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you mean just what you're always saying, check the edges of it.
Check the edges, but for example, the pelvis and the hips were tight. So to go to the tailbone, the sacrum, and then, the interconnectedness with all and everything. So coming up into the jaw, yeah, yeah, and soften. Just bringing, consciously more space, opening it up. Not unlike what we have here in the play of dialogue. We open it up. We can open up the physical the same. Yeah, yeah. And Nika, that window behind you might want to shut as well, sweetheart. It's noisy, but just. So, for the hips to be uncomfortable and the unwinding, what feeds those hips? So, if you all have an ailment that presents in the physical body, since we're on the physical body, check in what you could say behavior, what chain of events, what response or reaction brings that into fueling the tension in the hips and the pelvis, and see what comes. And to open it up during the retreat, to allow, when you're starting to fuel those hips and pelvis with tension, to catch those movements. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we only catch them when they're actually incredibly tight, but we can start checking in, because we can release them. We can all sit here releasing all our energies really beautifully. By the end of the day or tomorrow, it could be coming back in. So to consciously play by allowing us to ask our own soul to highlight when we're fueling.
Yeah.
And, allow the open discovery, not the mind to sort of assume, oh, I know when I'm doing that. Watch the I know when I am, because it can come in as a narrowing, and the bigger picture or the smaller picture mightn't show itself. And that's not to not acknowledge your knowing, yet keep it open for another knowing, a continual deepening in your knowing. Yeah? Because that in itself can be a catch.
I feel a relief now because we are opening it up actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the hips and the pelvis can be incredibly uncomfortable, especially at night. They can really roll out, and then the legs can get involved in wriggly legs and uncomfortable through the gallbladder channel. Yet if we're on it, what is feeding it, then we're on it in allowing the dissolving, then we're starting to notice an enormous amount of space in a short span of time. Yeah. So enjoy the play and please report back.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. Lovely. Lovely. El Marie, it's nice to see you on board, and would you like to come on?
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, lovely.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, wonderful. What are you noticing in the play?
I notice my attention goes to the, feels a bit like the left kidney.
So anchoring in awareness and the silence, and allow what is in that left kidney. Check the percentage. You could also check what percentage of your energy field is going to it compared to anchoring back into the silence and allowing the energy of the kidney to come up to the silence, so to speak. Yeah.
It's every time display.
Okay, the system gets used to it. It's not unlike the mind goes out to everywhere, or the emotional body goes out to everywhere. The body starts to come on and distract us, and it just fails our capacity at times. Yeah. If you stay with it, it comes a point that the window will open, and then you'll have a realization, oh, look, it's naturally coming in all the way home. And surprisingly, there's a huge percentage that's already naturally in play. Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know that kidneys have a beautiful capacity to give us the experience of fear. Yeah. Do you want to open up fear?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to welcome it.
And check, are you fully welcoming it? Right out on those edges without effort. And what happens to your whole energy field? Is there a tightening somewhere else?
Yeah, a little bit the solar plexus.
Yeah.
My body starts to heat up.
Mm-hmm. As the
Yeah.
body heats. Yeah, good. Keep going.
Yeah, the effort part was a catch, so I feel like soft, like really softening and resting back and resting in the heart.
Yeah. Consciously supporting the natural innate capacity to unwind allows the system to unwind instantly, very quickly. When you're playing and you recognize heat starts to move through the body, we know pathways are already opening. Check, is your attention going to the heat, or are you still leaning in?
It's like
Yeah,
really quick, but it's going to the heat and then back. It's like a constant play.
yeah.
Also,
So,
yeah.
so now you're on it, consciously lean in and allow the heat. As you lean in, you'll find there's a space with your true self and the heat that's rising. And now, what are you noticing?
Yeah, I noticed actually a cold breeze. And I noticed that my attention, my awareness is really trying to, yeah, I really have to focus to stay centered, because the heat and the sensations in my kidney are really turning up.
Yeah.
So I have to be really vigilant to stay here. Yeah.
And in the vigilance, check that you're softening and not building any tension in your focus attention.
Yeah.
Allow the vigilance, but the most softest touch.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Lovely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So beautiful to play the instrument that we are.
Yeah, it really is.
Mm.
Mm.
So share with me about grounding.
Mm.
Do you notice yourself being ungrounded?
Well, I noticed myself to be more grounded the last weeks. Well, that at least I felt like that. I did a Reiki course,
Mm-hmm.
and the first day I really went up, and then I noticed that with the Reiki I'm giving myself, I'm more grounded in my body,
Yeah, very good. Very good.
and I'm doing that every day, and I feel more stabilized, and yeah, more 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 down.
More here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. The selfless service to the greater good, Reiki, Reiki to oneself, selfless service to the greater good.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, lovely. I can hear, yeah, which is a yeah, sound. And one of the pictures in the iMovies is I'm pretty sure it's a cosmos with a bee, and the Shiva and Kali energy's been really strong, and the grounding and sounds have been very clear, and there's been this play, and this bee in this picture opened up an indigenous elder here that he's now passed, yet he was an incredible figure for this country for a long time, and he would gather some very disrupted energies. He had a capacity to allow many beings into his dreaming camps. And in the simplicity, he would just make the sound of a bee. So when this picture came, it brought him in, and hearing you, the reminds me, because what he would do would be just like the the and not unlike Brahmari, that allows the brain functioning to really drop down. And so I hear it in you, the so whatever's happening, and you're opening to life, and then there's a quick so you're grounding it. So have a play with the sound of a bee. Not yeah. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. And it's lovely that you bring this up for everyone, because we can use Brahmari to stop the busy mind. That's the English translation of Brahmari, to quietening a busy mind. Yet we can also use it for the simplicity of really opening up, being here, really here. Yeah. Not unlike Reiki, energy onto oneself. Yeah. Yeah. Because the sound of the and the energy through your hands, it's the same energy, yet in a different form. Yeah. Yeah. So that energy that comes out of your hands, all of our hands, because the palms of our hands are, they're an extension of our heart. Streams forth our pure energetics. And to be focused and allow the pure energetics to stream forth on all different dimensions, all our dimensions of expression. Lovely. Very good. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely play. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Lovely to be here all together, really. Renee, would you like to come on? Did you feel me before I came? Yeah, good.
Yeah, I did.
Yes, good. Good. What are you playing with? What are you noticing?
Well, I feel it now that I have a lot of emotions rising, and like that I cry very fast.
Yeah.
And
Is that okay?
yeah, it is. And that's what I'm playing with, actually, to allow that more and to not judge it, but just really let it flow, because I can be touched by something very quick, anything what I see in someone, or and it touches so deep, and then tears arise to the surface. And I always had this, and I actually always also had a judgment about it, that I cry so fast, and lately I've been trying or recognizing that it is actually completely fine, and that I could embrace it, and that it's part of me, and who knows, maybe it will settle down or take the edge off when I just let it be there and give it the space it needs or wants. And I actually say this because when you called, or when you said my name, I felt it. I felt like this poof, very hot, warm feeling arising, and then almost the tears came. And in the same time, I kind of like pushed it back. So
Yes.
I recognized, I do it again automatically so fast to not want to cry. So I feel there is something there, that I repress something, and I want to stop doing that. I just want to allow it to flow.
So I'd let go of the assumptions about it. Something maybe I suppress. Maybe it's not either. Maybe it's just a pattern of the ordinary heart meeting the pure heart that just sends the Shakti through, and there's a sacred wash. Might be as simple as that.
Yeah.
Then you give it to the mind, then the mind starts you on a merry-go-round that you're looking for something that you have to release or do something with as such. When the ordinary heart touches the sacred heart into a place of deepening, it's very rare it tears to one's eye, doesn't come forth. It's beautiful. Yet if there's, in that moment of ordinary heart touching the pure heart, and then we go back into the emotional body, then there's a sort of a downpouring of, opening the floodgates of the emotional body, in particular grief, sadness, tears come. Yeah. And it will hook into all the aspects of the lungs, the colon, the capacity to allow sadness and grief. And all those moments in your life can come flooding in. So the key there is when you notice that sort of bittersweet, when that rush of energy comes, leaning in, checking that you're allowing the direct experience of the tears, knowing it's a sacred wash, knowing it's a divine movement. And leaning in allows you not to then get entangled with what wants to come up and play, what wants to rise up and come to that depth, opposed to you going out to what is rising. Yeah. So the key is, as you're feeling that intimate moment of tears coming, check that you're allowing and you're surrendering. You can breathe in and out consciously to the sacred heart. Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Share with me about awakened life. What does that mean for you?
It means allowing
And checking, feel that emotion that's rising
mm,
and lean in, allowing it. Don't manage it, just let it be here and lean in. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it means allowing and surrendering into whatever is there in every moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me that's how it feels to every time surrender into it and just like a wave. And feel that from a softness where where surrendering and acceptance, I want to say, but
you know it's more than acceptance.
yeah.
Yeah. Because acceptance is coming from the mind.
Yeah.
And if you listen back to this, we all give out each other the keys, and if we hear it as it's coming out of our mouth, so those waves that come, you're getting a little bit involved with the waves rather than being the platform that the waves rise up and fall from.
Yeah.
Yeah, up until then. And once you recognize it's just your system that's releasing, not your true nature. So those waves can wave up and down. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you anchor, yeah. What is constant? That platform. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I can feel this constant ping-ponging between that and judge it when I get off of the platform but become the wave, and
Yeah.
and
And
so it's
so the ping pong will take you out. There's
yeah.
only a certain time that you can maintain watching that ping pong from the platform. And so as that ping pong's playing, there's a certain vibrational energetic that's in your field that allows the ping pong. Yeah. So that's where you lean in and you go into a finery of vibration beyond the ping pong match. You're aware of the ping pong,
Mm-hmm.
yet you know that you're not the ping pong.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're aware of the ping pong. You're aware if it swings there or there and in between. But your essence, your true nature that's watching it, is not the ping pong.
Yeah.
So then it's just the simplicity of shifting your attention to what is watching that, what is aware of that, which from watching to coming to awareness, or from observing, watching to come into awareness, allows you to anchor into the awareness. And the awareness is fine to allow the ping pong. It's not getting involved in it. And then you'll have more and more space, and the ping pong mat will just dissolve because you're not feeding it. You're not in there.
Mm.
It has to be fed.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, it just falls away. The glory of your shift of attention, just like that. And regularly shifting your attention. So what happens is we're cruising along and we're shifting our attention, we're going really great. Next minute the ping pong starts and we're a bit complacent and we're just in the ping pong watching. We're not shifting our attention. Then we're feeding that ping pong. Then it's got more of a pull for us to come out of our true nature and start operating on the surface of our being rather than in the depth of our being. Yeah. But any moment in that play, in the instant, you can shift. So when you shift your attention, consciously lean in, and it's like resting and basking there allows you not to get pulled out straight away.
Yeah.
If we shift our attention, and that's it, we'll be pulled out before we know it. But we shift, and it's like we've got our finger on the pulse of awareness. And we consciously anchor in there. And the whole system then goes, oh, yes, this is where I'm to experience life from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very soft, very delicate, very sweet, very lovely. No pushing, surrendering. Yeah. Check if you catch that you're trying to lean in rather than just lean in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because our system's designed very beautifully just to lean in. Yeah. Great. Great.
Thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. Most welcome. Please continue to report. Just because I've spoken to you early doesn't mean that you can't come in and jump in. Yeah?
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you, Renee. Yeah, beautiful. Santa, would you like to come in, lovey?
Yes. That was just a thought, like, oh no, don't let her call my name. So it was kind of or thing. Oh, this is it. Lovely to see you. Also, really nice to see the Sangha with you there. That's really lovely to see them.
Yes, it is lovely. Yeah. So who is that that's speaking that, oh, I don't, my name being called, oh.
Fluff.
Fluff. Did you say fluff?
Yes. Yes.
How often do you entertain in your fluff?
Well, it's becoming more clear where in life I speak from my presence and where I am not, and it's becoming very clear. So it's a great reminder whenever I feel that I'm off to guide myself back in, and then maybe even rename, like you shared before, to rename and rewind and then go again.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that's the way. Stop, rewind, rename.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful play. Because we're taking responsibility for the glitchy, fluffy, chi that we're feeding, stop, rewind, lean in, rename.
Yeah.
Yeah, honors your awakened being. Marie's honoring her awakened being through her hands. Acknowledge the invitation, consciously acknowledge fully, all of you, fully acknowledge your awakened being through the play, through being. And it's interesting when you say that you notice the fluff more, and when you'll notice that when we're speaking fluffy, it'll be a narrowing.
Mm.
And from presence, it's just this continual blossoming. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that in itself is a signpost. Hang on, we're heading into the direction of mind. And then when the mind comes in, the emotional body, the patterning, the ancestors, the collective, and so forth. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it can be quite fast. Like 2 words that come out of my mouth, and I'm like, oh. So that it doesn't have to have this whole emotional play, but it can be like really quick and subtle, just a few words that kind of pop out, and then I'm like, today it happened again. I heard myself saying something, I was like, and then coming back. So really like this, this quick play of and then coming back.
Yeah, great. And sometimes there is, then you leave that alone, whatever came out, you don't bother touching, you just anchor in.
Mm.
And sometimes, if you feel, you could say sassy, want to really play, and you feel solid, only if you feel solid in the anchoring. Don't go near it if you're sort of on that edge, fence sitting back and forth. You can, where did that come from?
Mm.
Who is that? And just feel and smell it and let it come on the field of awareness so that it can be kissed by the light of your consciousness.
Mm.
Because whatever arises, it's not we've got to be careful. It's a fine line. We're not controlling the system. We're allowing whatever wants to present, because all the shadows and disruptions rise to be kissed by the light of our consciousness, to come to the light. Yeah. The only sticky thing is that we go out to it rather than letting it come all the way home.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually very helpful, because then I can notice that whenever that happens, there is some kind of almost judgment, like go back in, instead of using that direct experience to see what's underneath and to let that fall into the heart, you mean? So seeing what comes up and then letting that be.
Yeah. If you're checking that you're leading in, it'll come up, and as you're leaning in, your consciousness is here and aware of it. And if you're really here, then you can use your inquiry.
Mm.
But check that to check in that you're really here allows another depth of you being here.
Mm.
It's like, consciousness checking in on consciousness. With Reiki, your hands, consciousness is touching consciousness. The ethereal is touching the form and the formless. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm grateful that this comes up, because this is something that's been playing also in relation to being with others, and just speaking and being in that space on a daily, not on a daily basis, but in every breath.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so also when I communicate with whatever it is, if it's work, if it's my parents, if it's friends, to also be there and speak from there and share from there in every breath. That's something that has been playing, that I've been playing with as well.
Check that you're trying too hard.
Mm.
Yeah. There's this delight in just being your love rather than trying to manage and be a particular. Just be your love. Come back to your love.
Mm.
Yeah. Speak from love. Helps open it up.
Mm.
Yeah. When we get together, it can be, it can run off very quickly through the mind, and just to keep checking in softly, lovingly, check in, what's the feeling? What are you noticing in your system? And you'll find trying to be a particular way, there'll be energetics of tension. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Check that you're trying to be seen as a particular way. Rather than just surrendering and being it.
Yeah, it's there that I sometimes feel, and it comes up now, and I know it's mine, but there's the question that comes up. But then if I check in, then sometimes there's just nothing to say, and then I feel it that maybe makes people uncomfortable, or it makes me uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure everybody recognizes that. What happens is we try and fill the silence all too quickly. And often it's an avoidance of intimacy.
Mm.
And it's beautiful to check in and feel the intimacy within sitting with someone and not speaking through the mouth.
Mm.
And allow yourself to feel and directly experience that uncomfortable. Yeah. It's a great gift to share the silence with beloveds.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what often happens is because of the inability to meet that intimacy of the silence, the survivor of avoiding that intimacy starts to talk a lot of fluff. And then it'll create a frustration. How did I get there?
Mm.
Yeah. Great.
Mm. Yeah, thank you.
You're most welcome.
Mm.
Lovely. Brian, I just want to check in. Are you hearing us okay and everything?
Yes, I'm hearing you fine. We got the day of the start of this wrong, so apologies for being late.
It's okay. Look, we sent out a message because I know that, we put it in the Australian dates, and that's why we sent out a message that it was about to start, because it's so easy with, being on one side of the planet to the other.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Yeah, I'm pleased. Very pleased that both of you are in. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Would you like to share something?
The energy is really strong, even though we were just speaking a few days ago about how I wasn't feeling anything when I would tune in to the Sacred Heart. And that's generally true, but today not. Right now, not. There is a bit of crisis here with Dana's daughter, and we're being with that.
And as you're speaking that, allow that energy of crisis just to be held by the group
Okay.
and be held by the silence.
Yes. Yes.
Don't follow the crisis energy.
Yeah.
And it's very seductive.
Yeah.
And it wants to be fed. Check, both of you. Are you feeding it? And what percentage are you feeding it? It's a great gift not to feed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when a system goes into survival or transcending, it's a strong force.
Yep.
But nothing that your presence, both of you, can't meet just like that in the love of simplicity.
Yeah.
They keep coming back to the simplicity and the silence and your belly breathing. Slowing it down.
So what I notice is a tenderness in my heart and compassion and caring, and the key is just to stay with that and allow it to be, rather than to have that move me to, try to influence or change whatever is happening here with her.
Just fully know it's a bumpy ride in awakening.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But part of the system's kicking back.
Yeah.
So we allow the kickback without getting involved in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And yes, and so my particular play with that is that I have great empathy for bumpy rides to awakening from my own personal experience. So, and it's okay. I'm not getting hooked by it. I'm not falling into it, but I just recognize, yes, that's there. And there's it would surface as a thought of, oh, I wish she could be spared a little of this, but you can't, right? It's her journey, and my role primarily is to love her and witness.
Yeah. And it's okay, Mother, Father, God, please have mercy on this young one that is having such a bumpy ride to come home. We can go into spontaneous prayer for them.
Mm-hmm.
But when, like I do want you both to check in what percentage of energetics is going out to her regularly, and to bust yourself. 1%, 0.1% is too much. Both of you know silence, and that's the greatest gift. To consciously bring in sweet medicine, you bring forth the shaman in both of you like never before, and ritual and ceremony, bring it in all aspects. Feeling what foods would be really on board, what drinks would be really on board. Rose water and rose in essence, in a burner is really good. Rose water spraying really helps, and water spray, pure rose water, and you can dilute it. Clearing the rooms and the space regularly sitting there and allowing, oming each room regularly, and then the boundary of the land. Yeah. You're both in ritual and ceremony. Yeah. And so is she.
Mhm. Yeah.
And feel the triangle. Yeah. Yeah. I'm here very consciously aware of what you're moving through and what space you're creating. And I am a point of the triangle for you,
Yes.
both of you. Kathleen, we've already discussed, she's an anchor, the one that witnesses the energy, which is very in shamanic play. You'll get this sacred triangle and you'll get another person watching the play, feeling the energy.
Yeah.
And I know you both know, but or run over it, not to follow any delusions, not to feed any, and to be very clear that's not how it is for me. And I honor that is how it is for you. Yet, would there be another way here? Is there another seeing that you could see here? Because sometimes it gets narrowed down in this sight. And what happens, we, in our compassion, we sort of try and come on board to that sight. We include that sight and then offer other possibilities of one naming, no, that's not how it is for me. Yet, is there another way for you here? Yeah? And if it's no, there isn't, well, I can allow that. Can you allow that? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it very soft and simple in checking the allowing, checking to opening rather than narrowing, because there's a lot of narrowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Up until now.
Up until now.
Great. Great. Lovely.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Dana, you ready to share something? Yes.
Well, it's hard to see your daughter suffer. And so I go into my stillness, I go into my heart, and I realize it's her journey. It's her karma, and that all I can do is kind of give love and support and give her room to unravel this. Brian chatted with her the other day, telling her that, there's good that will come out of everything, and nothing to be shamed about. It's just the journey, but it's just such a dark space for her now, and she just feels like there's no room for her to move or no ray of sunshine, and there's a lot of despair.
Yeah. Check that she's allowing that and not warring with it. Yeah. And when you, yes, as a mother, when you're looking at your children and they're going through something and suffering, our innate compassion and empathy and emotionally, the strings, we can go out to it and we can build enormous amount of energy and pain in mothers or fathers, aunties, uncles, beloved friends, beloved partners. The gift there is not to deny what rises in us, because it's certainly not about suppressing that pain that can rise up and that anguish. It's about using that raw Shakti, it's energy, it's enormous amount of energy that we can generate from watching that, and we let it come into our heart. And in that conscious movement of letting it come in, we'll go deeper. So all the vibration that was suddenly played in the ping pong, we're deeper. Yeah. Which is exactly what she's looking for, to come out of that surface play. Yeah. So you have a great key in this. Every time it like allow that freedom of it rising, but play it absolutely cleanly. Allow it to rise, and as it's rising, you're breathing in and out through the sacred heart, possibly simultaneously through hara, to if there's any mind story going, and then you're just resting in the heart. And you will feel the breath of spaciousness comes to hold it. And those waves of spaciousness that you will echo, pulse, is for her to help ground her. Yeah. So that's the gift you bring her, to go deeper into yourself with every wave of emotional pull. You consciously be responsible for every wave, because we're asking her to come on and be responsible for the waves that are rising. Yeah? So you set the tone, you set the flavor. Yeah? And check that you're really allowing it. And it's clear sometimes we can look and we can really not like it. It's okay really not to like it. It's okay to be upset by it. How you play that upset will make the difference. And in particular for her. Yeah. It's a great time that she's here. This retreat's on. It's just perfect. Yeah. Lovely. You contact me as much as you like through this 3-week journey with her. Yeah. Yeah, very good. You soften to that pain as a mother and bring it all the way home. It's like the mother is coming home to presence. And presence will echo a platform for the child to land on. Yeah. Yeah. Lovely.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Touch back in any time and bring it to the table so all of us can help support this young one in her bumpy, dark night of the soul. We all go through the dark night of the soul. May it all be shorter and shorter, these dark nights of the soul. Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alex, would you like to come on?
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
I feel a bit caught.
In the flavour of the dark night of the soul. So this is heart fire giggling.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I
The
mean?
ordinary heart wants to release and come home to the pure heart. Yeah. That's that bitter coming home to the sacred sweetness. That's the same as that moment of the tears to one's eyes. It's just a different expression. And then it grounds that heart fire. You guys are okay over there? Do you need the heater on? Turn, just put it on. I'm not very great with, I have, short sleeves and I have all the windows open, but then when, the sun to come in, the house is freezing for them. And they're being very gracious, putting more blankies on.
Yeah, what comes is that I recognize the moments which you could say that are challenging or that I experience as challenging, and that I saw myself in patterns of how I created space for myself to feel safe or to meet it.
Yep.
But that I felt that it came to a climax, so to say, where I recognized that it doesn't work like that. Bottom line.
That's right. And so when you watch this recording back, you'll see at the very beginning, like you were like this. I recognize, and there it is. There's the entanglement. The first part of the experience is warring against it. And then you went, and then when I go on further, then I recognize it. So you come out here. So it's about checking in. Are you allowing the experience?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the experiences are or aren't.
Yeah, the aren't is the catch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I recognize is what supported me is in staying in, which doesn't per se mean that I'm like staying in like this. It can also mean that I create physically space or we create physically space, but as I create the space that I stay anchored in. And I feel that makes a great difference.
Yeah, but I can smell a rat there because I just feel like it's distance, but not so much space.
Yeah, busted.
Really. And that's such a catch, There'll be some sort of confrontation, say, with someone, and you don't want it to go anywhere. So you sort of separate out, but you're both still in play. There's no space. You're still going on with it. And to check that pattern of that. Yeah. And it comes back to that point here. And when you notice it's like that, and there's a warring, one part of you says that's okay, another part goes, it's not okay. And then it creates this friction to allow that friction to be there, to allow the turmoil, to allow the disruption to be there, to allow the frustration to be there, to allow the sadness, the fear to be there. Really allow it to be there. Then there's space, true space. Because otherwise, all movements is trying to manage the experience rather than the simplicity of meeting. And meeting is through allowing it to be here. And personally, yes, we mightn't like it, or we might like it. It's irrelevant. We're opening up the deeper and deeper intimacy in checking that we're really allowing the experiences to really be. Yeah. without following, without jumping into, one of these or one of these. Yeah. Or without making this wrong. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When we're in the privilege of gestating babies, both, parents go through a very, very particular unwinding. And of course, if we take a Martian's view and have a look, of course, the divine consciousness, drops us into a quickening so that we're the cleanest vessel for when this child's born that we can be. So there's an incredible unwinding for not only the mother and the father. And it's often not recognized, yeah, that both are in an unwinding. Yeah. To be kind to the unwinding. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
What men will often find is that women sort of really come of the earth, and what fluff that used to be sort of allowed and okay, they put a line in the sand and go, no, it's not okay anymore. What was that? Yeah, there's not going to be fluff around this little being, and it starts. Yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful play. Yeah. As long as we don't take it too personally and see the divine orchestration in it and just stay in love. Yeah. I come back to, like if we really get, where this divine energy of the collective great omni-essence divinity, and we're plonked into this body, part of the human species, and the human species is learning to really meet its full capacity in the divine emanation. So the systems at times in different aspects can be mature and not so mature. So it's really beautiful, really not to take it personally and just keep re-steering ourselves back within the instant, whatever the play. Yeah.
Mm.
And the more we look, sometimes the more horrified we are of assuming that we're all really mature, the more we look is like, hang on, that's not how I assumed I am. And it's very humbling. Yet it doesn't mean you have to follow that. In that moment of recognizing that, in that same breath, letting it rest in the heart, it can be done. Watch the pattern of seeing something and then going, oh, I've really got to work on this. At least for these 5 days, I invite you all to throw it out the window and just play it in the rawness as it rises and nothing more, just as it presents. Let's give our energy fields more space than ever before to play.
Yeah, so bottom line, bumpy ride, but happy that I'm here.
So, what's underneath? Check in for your platform of silence within the bumpy ride. Rest your attention of where the bumpiness comes out of and come into that. And then by resting your attention on the platform of being, the bumpy ride can just bump along. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and it falls away.
Yeah, that's right. You know, the platform of being is a really nice sort of little play to check in. Good. Thank you.
Mm.
Very nice. Yannicka, you just want to stay there laying and you can come in another time, or do you want to share something? Yeah. Okay.
I'll just lay.
Yeah, you just lay. Be beautiful and pregnant and ripe.
Yeah, very right.
Yeah, ripe is a good word for that beautiful belly. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yolanda and Mark's baby's born Otis, by the way, if anybody was wondering how that baby and mum's going. They're good, beautiful, very present. Great. Bridget, would you like to come in? Are you still on holidays, love?
Hi, Pia.
Namaste.
Namaste. I just got back right before Satsang.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. And it's been really a really wonderful meeting to get all my scrambled energies settled.
Yeah.
Yeah, from traveling, all that.
So who is that scrambles when you travel?
Yeah, that's a good one. Good question. Mm. It feels like it's my whole system. Because my broken balance organ plays up when I travel in a car, or it doesn't matter, any form of transport. But there's also some entanglement I see when I feel into it.
So regardless if an organ is in sort of gappy, sort of pulsing, presence can come forth and bring the balance and fill the gaps. So the invitation is to let go of that story from this moment on.
Yeah.
And just meet whatever rises within traveling and allow it to come to presence.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we're feeding that gap. We're feeding that disruption.
That's a really good pointer. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, I felt that happening over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
I see how much my mind gets activated when I'm uncomfortable. I try to manage it with my mind.
Mm.
I really felt it all sinking when the satsang started, or all kind of like falling into place again.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you've been talking about ritual and ceremony also in this meeting briefly, and I feel like it's something that I could make better use of in especially when situations change, like traveling or being uncomfortable. I get a bit I got a bit distracted and entangled, and then my mind becomes very active when I lose my own routine.
So when the mind's active and really activated, it's a nice play to check that, you recognize that you're managing it. When you recognize it, and the manager will go into survival if it's pushed. Yeah. And when you catch that, ask yourself to catch that and then just simply allow it to be here. And in that instant of really allowing it to be here, it'll fall away. So amazingly, just like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really that simple, or not simple, but I
It
know.
is simple. It is
Yeah,
simple. Yeah.
I felt it, or it came to me straight when the satsang started, that all the stories that I connected to feeling so scrambled, they're so not relevant. It's just tuning in and feeling it, and it falls away. It's more like a blockage to allowing and leaning in than anything else. Like the whole circumstance is just not relevant to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. And we keep creating these chain of events to bring this into conscious play, a theatre.
Yeah.
So that the system will learn how to actually register and respond within the divine expression. So in that, every movement is about coming home.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because as soon as I like, let's say, formally committed to the program, to joining, like the volume got dialed up so much of the uncomfortable situation I was in, that I could really see it as a theater play. I was like, wow. And then I also noticed that
Amazing.
That the yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tired, but so I'm not expressing myself really well. But anyway, what happened is that I had like a challenge on somebody was really acting like I was in a family dynamics visiting classic parents-in-law, and they were really like challenging energies. And then I got the uncomfortability of my system traveling with it. It was like coming from two sources, the activations. And then I went right into it. Like I was kind of like holding on, and I was like facing one challenge, and then I could still keep space, and then the other one came, and then I was like hit two ways, and then I
made sure you had all what you needed to get really nicely activated.
Yeah. And the only moment I noticed also when I could get out is when I kind of realized, like I almost had to say thank you to them, like thank you for
activating,
really pushing my buttons, and making this. And it's really, because it was so aligned with committing to this program and opening up to it, I was like, oh yeah, there it comes.
See, the
But
gift
it's
there with beings that we know that we get activated is that we know we get activated.
yeah,
And, we know, how they operate in the world, you could say. So we could take a Martian's view, a divine view, and why are we wanting them to be any different to how they operate? Who are we?
yeah.
We go in there with, you could say, being annoyed for them just being who they are.
That's
And
really, yeah,
you break it down really simple, and they're just doing their thing, being who they are.
that's really nice. I really like that.
Yeah.
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 Things can get so messy for nothing.
Yeah, but once we sort of open them up and have a look, we can go into those dynamics, like a bull chasing a red flag, wanting them to be something else because we've got an idea, obviously, of wanting them to be something else. Yet when we stop, we know that they are something other than that. Just love them for that. They're just being, you're responsible for your own energy field, which comes back to a really sweet, sweet opportunity to be around challenging beings. And here it comes back to the ritual and ceremony integrated into everyday life will support you enormously.
Yeah, I really got that that message in so strongly that it's always like what you say, it's easy when it's easy, but when it gets challenging, that's when it's really, you need to line up. And I noticed that if I lose kind of like a base, then I don't know where I am anymore. I got entangled in it.
Yeah.
And literally
Yet
not
you're
being
aware of that. You're not asleep to that.
no.
Yeah. So your awareness, you don't switch on or off. You
No,
might be a bit veiled from silence and a bit veiled from your sacred heart, but your awareness is here.
yeah, when you asked us to bring presence into the sacred heart, that really felt like a key that I overlooked for the past time. I saw this light coming and I was like, oh yeah, that's how you ground in it. Yeah.
You're aware of it, and then let it come to open and be streaming from heart, love.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Nice playing. Great setup before retreat.
Bring in the parents-in-law.
Yeah, that's right. Often I say, when beings come to me and say, I'm enlightened, and I go and live with your parents or your parents-in-law and tell me after a week how enlightened you are. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Donna, would you like to come on, love?
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, the sun, the horizon has got this beautiful orange band, orange golden band. Just lovely.
It's still dark here.
Yeah, well, we're on the furthest east point of the Australian mainland. So that's why it comes earlier here.
Okay, lovely.
What are you noticing, Donna? What came first when I asked you?
Tears.
Tears.
A
Are you
wave of,
allowing? Are you allowing?
yeah, I'm allowing. There was a little bit of surprise because it wasn't there before you asked.
Yeah, yeah.
The mind's run into it a little bit just to work out what it is.
Just leaning in and just allow that surface mind doing whatever. Just keep leaning in. Yeah. The simplicity of being aware of it without following it.
I think it's just layers of what we would call life. And similar to what Dana's going through.
Yeah. And so allow the sacred wash of, those energies to rise, to come home. Yeah. Keep checking in with your system that you're clear, you're a space.
Mm. Yeah.
Allowing all the emotions and ache, physical ache, emotional ache, mental ache, the ancestral line energetics, the collective line energetics that's playing out that you recognize, just to come to the light of your presence, to come home. And at the least, it can land in and be directed into awareness. And once anchored in awareness, then can rest in the sacred heart for another breath opening. Yeah.
It's still it's just a whisper, but it's the whisper of, oh, it's not enough to do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
You're actually sacredly playing. So that's really good. That whisper got tabled, because that's what creates a break, a disruption. Yeah. You are actually playing at the highest vibrational energetic that you can play, the greatest gift. Because by bringing it to awareness and landing in the heart, into the silence, doesn't mean that you're doing nothing. That's the most divine play. And by resting in the heart, then gives space for your true nature, your true self, your presence beyond the mother, your presence to bring a sword of truth, to bring a divine compassion and lay it out on the table. Yeah? A pulse of divine pulse to be soothing the disruption of the child. Yeah? Doesn't mean that we cannot speak, for sure, that, you know, what you're going through, I find it really challenging as a mother. Yeah? And I'm here. You'll find ritual and ceremony through the house, the space, divine prayer, checking your energy field.
Yeah, so they're not with me, which, you know, not they're in Victoria.
Yeah, that's okay. We're in, you know, we are consciousness. We are everywhere. To feel that.
So that's what I do, and yet there's still a complexity of fluff.
Yeah. Yeah, mind and fluff can be very complex and allow the simplicity of presence. To recognize the complexity, your inner awareness, and let it land in the heart, that will open it up to the most complex something to be dissolved by the Shiva energy into the simplicity of being. There's a divine, creative, energetic response to all complexities. It's not about denying the complexity, and it's certainly not about following the complexity as if it's real.
It's funny because the human thinks that complexity is then harder, but in divinity, there is no harder.
No. It's just the mind surface fluff being entangled. You know?
Well, it feels like there's a lot of, like, the bodies of consciousness are also entangled, the complexities, these layers of, you know, different bodies. And
yeah. The divine essence, the true nature that holds all of the play of the different bodies, just is. To allow the light within your system like never before. To feel the light like never before. To allow the oneness like never before. To allow the I am like never before. To allow the embodiment like never before. To allow the isness of being like never before. And sometimes we can assume that that's this really big play, but actually it's happening in everyday life within the most simplest of plays. in every breath. Not to deny these amazingly full Shakti energetics. Of butterflies in the windows. Yeah, this is a butterfly dreaming country that we're in. And to allow those energetics, really allow those energetics in the simplicity. And when we have these huge, big Shakti experiences, yes, we acknowledge that. But those Shakti experiences are happening all the time. For we are Shakti, we are energy. And when it comes closer and closer to being and really into the intimate play, we see this, we're not separate to the big, small, and in between play of the divine. Yet we can look for these really big spiritual experiences. I invite you to have a look in the simplicity, those soft, intimate experiences, those soft, delicate, here, just here. Plays.
As you were leading me through all that, it was the pull. It was like a gravitational pull of attachment coming in really heavy.
Yes. Yeah. Good awareness. Yeah. And that pull, we'll have that pull for many things. You know, the ego to be right, the pull to have the last word, the pull to sort of try and fix it, change it, the pull to, not feel like that. And it's in the simplicity of allowing it all to be. Doesn't mean that we don't have a voice to go, no, that isn't so for me. For me, I see it like this. Is a great gift. And even when there's an appearance that another beloved is not listening, there's a planting of a seed. And if it's from that divine space and the other beloved really is acting out that it has all appearance that they're not listening or taking it on, I guarantee that there's these points where that will be echoed back into their energy field. It will move around. And sometimes beloveds cannot, they're so intertangled that it can't land what you're saying, but the divine Shakti comes into their orbit and will swirl around and drop it in, swirl around and drop it in. That's why sometimes you have this divine and you can see they're still on the merry-go-round, but it is whispered in. So that attachment to how it's received and what your idea of the outcome can be tended to.
It's the attachment of suffering. Like I'm constantly thinking my son's going to die. It's that heavy.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's periods of time where I'm checking with his father. Is he alive? You know,
Yeah.
you have to check with him.
I want you to meet that then. This is a very intimate place of meeting. It would be his physical that goes, not him, not his essence. Meet that fear. Bring it home to the divine. That's not meet that fear and go into suffering over it. It's meet that fear. Bring it to a place where it can transcend it, so it doesn't echo that into his orbit of energy field. Yeah. That's the way. Keep leaning in and allowing those waves to just pulse out of your system. Strong emotional waves like this can really build up, and if we don't allow our systems to experience them and we try to manage it and not feed it, yet we need to sort of keep checking in that we're really in that empty space of authentic empty, checking in even if we feel on track. Check in, allow the waves, lean in, stay in awareness at the least, or reset ourselves. And then when, if it rises again, then check in, bring it all the way home. And something like that is such a strong pull to go out. And the greatest gift is you lean in. And that will call forth your presence like never before. And calling forth your presence like never before brings a sword of truth with it. Threads that will actually help him unwind. Yeah. But by going into that emotion is sort of echoing that emotion, and he wants all of us to be so still for him. Yeah.
Okay. It feels like there's more space.
Yeah. You play it the best you can play at any given moment, and the divine meets any gaps within that play. Yeah. Spontaneous prayer, ritual and ceremony, just beautiful. Yeah. Lovely. Thank you for bringing that. We all have beloveds that are struggling, and the greatest gift, the silence, sacred heart, awareness. We be our knowing and dance our knowing. Very good.
Thank you, Pia.
Oh, you're most welcome, Donna. So I just want to give a rundown on the experientials within the program. Thank you, Sangha, that's been posting them and all the work. You'll see there's a program outline that you'll see, and then it's got the naming of the exercise 1 and so forth through. So obviously we're all on different time zones. So you just pick it up where it is with you and start playing. Yet if, you could start with the introductions if it's still light and early in the afternoon, and then start with, wherever you are in your time zone. And when you've got free time, if you feel like you've missed one of the other exercises, then come back into it. You'll feel it out. You'll know what's right. You'll know what's day one. Play with day one. It doesn't really matter of the order of day one as long as you're experiencing. The one thing that is in the program outline that doesn't have an iMovie to show you is the as above so below handset when you go to bed that I'm asking you to take, which is this. So thumbs together and fingers together, our little fingers together. Put two pillows on either side or something to prop you up, and you're resting it on your heart energy center. Make sure it's not too high. You're really on the heart energy center. You're just breathing in and out very softly and allow the mudra to show itself. It brings as above, so below, meeting at the heart. So that's the mudra, the evening mudra that I invite you, not only for the 5 days, I invite you over this 3-week time to really play with this mudra. If you have a rest in the afternoons or whenever through the program, I invite you, and you don't have to stay in it long. You'll know that you'll just roll over and come back, come out of it. Now there's names of 40 minutes of silences, and some of you may sit longer than 40 minutes. Yet I invite you to have the 10 or 15-minute break or 20-minute break and have it as a contemplative reside and go again for another 40 minutes. If you have more time, continue the 40 minutes. You could have longer, more and more and more of the 40 minutes, but don't exhaust the system. This is a retreat and a softening, a nourishment. Yeah. Spontaneous prayer, creating a sacred space through oming your presence, and enjoy the simplicity of the experientials, the exercises. What I really love is that I'm going to see you all really soon. And of course, in the space in between. Enjoy the play. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Lovely. Yiche,